Because what I hate is just because we know the BBC is such a corrupt and terrible organisation and has let paedophilia run rampant over the years. Okay, we know that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Jermaine Jenas has done anything wrong. Sometimes after a scandal, they almost look for someone to take the fall, be the fall guy. And we know the BBC has had such a tough time because of its terrible handling of the Huw Edwards scandal and also its terrible handling of the Strictly Come Dancing furore. But look, breaking right now, another major scandal is engulfing the BBC. Now, I'm not going to rush to judgment on this one, okay? But let me tell you what's happened. Jermaine Jenas, former footballer, became a big star of the BBC, hosting The One Show and appearing on Match of the Day. Well, he has been sacked, effective immediately, by the British Bashing Corporation for quote-unquote inappropriate behaviour. Now, of course, this comes so soon after the Huw Edwards scandal, which BBC bosses came out of looking appalling. But what's interesting about this is that we don't know what the specific allegations are. We don't know what the claims of inappropriate behaviour are. We hear that Jermaine Jenas has also been dropped by his agent, M&C Saatchi, which really disappoints me, actually, because I think unless he's done something criminal, you'd hope an agent would help to see someone through a difficult situation. But today he has still appeared on Talk Sport, which is interesting. So we don't know if his media career is going to be fully let down by this. Now, Charlie, this is a really interesting one, isn't it? Because what I hate is just because we know the BBC is such a corrupt and terrible organisation and has let paedophilia run rampant over the years. Okay, we know that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Jermaine Jenas has done anything wrong. Sometimes after a scandal, they almost look for someone to take the fall, be the fall guy. And we know the BBC has had such a tough time because of its terrible handling of the Huw Edwards scandal and also its terrible handling of the Strictly Come Dancing furore. So what do you make of this one?
Well, because we don't know anything about why he's been let go, it does open things up to speculation. And I hate speculation purely because anything that is alluded about a man will stick. And whilst we don't know, I would, like you, would like not to make any snap judgments about the man. He doesn't come across like a horrible person to me. I mean, I've watched Match of the Day. I've seen him on various programs. He seems like a very nice guy. So I'd be surprised if this is something really serious. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see what comes out of this. But hopefully it's not too bad for all involved.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it, Andrew? Because with the Strictly Come Dancing story, for example, actually, I think a lot of it has been really unfair on a couple of the male dancers who have been dragged through the mud for essentially being a little bit tough during training sessions. Now, that's very different to Huw Edwards accessing child pornography while being paid for by the BBC, isn't it?
You're absolutely right. And I have the joy of doing the podcast for the Royal Television Society. And as part of that, I spoke to Greg Dyke. They celebrated 100 years of the BBC, and let's look at the next 100. And I put to him about trust coming in on foot and leaving on horseback. And as you quoted some example from Savile to, well, it wasn't Huw Edwards at that stage, that's just come out, but Tim Westwood was another one, and so on and so forth. They've been very slow to act. And as a result, you're right, the gut reaction of this is they've been too quick to act. And one thing I do hate is trial in the media, because if somebody's innocent, I don't believe their name should be splattered all over the place with accusations which haven't even gone through the rigor of the proper legal process. So I feel very sorry until the facts come out, and my view is that you should wait until that happens, and you should clarify to everyone, look, this is the procedure that we go through. So whenever we get a complaint, this is what we do. And if the BBC make that very clear, they'll get a much better position accordingly.
Well, indeed, because what happens now is that there's a media witch hunt And they demand that Jermaine Jenas must be axed by every single person who he's working for. Well, at this point, TalkSport hasn't done that. He appeared live, laughing, seemingly okay, just minutes after being sacked by the BBC. Now, in terms of what the BBC is saying about this, they have released a statement in the past hour saying we can confirm Jermaine Jenas is no longer part of our presenting lineup. Alex K. Jelski, the head of sport at the corporation, confirmed the decision in an email to staff as well, informing them Jermaine Jenas is no longer working for the BBC. And one colleague has told the Daily Mail that the complaints related to his workplace conduct and that the issues were raised with the broadcaster a few weeks ago and it took action. I just think it's a shame that the BBC... Look, let's see what we learn about this. But it's funny, isn't it, who the BBC is prepared to throw under the bus and the sorts of people that it shelters, like Jimmy Savile and Huw Edwards.
Yeah, you're so right. And I go back to what I said beforehand. Trial in the media is the most abhorrent of all. You get innocent people who are dragged through the media, that their name is besmirched, and it sticks for a long, long time. And that has got to be wrong.
Yeah, what I hope would happen here is that Jermaine is given the opportunity himself to speak out, to reveal what went on, because it's very difficult to comment on this when there is such a wide array of what can be classed as misconduct. You know, did he send a flirtatious message to a colleague? You know, okay, maybe not great, but hardly a hanging offence. Huw Edwards receiving child pornography images while announcing the death of the Queen, not literally, but you know the point that I'm making, clearly unacceptable and clearly someone that the BBC should not have been protecting. So we will watch with interest, but I would urge everyone, and having myself gone through one of these media witch hunts very recently, I would urge everyone to show some restraint until they know what's going on and until I've heard from Jermaine Jenas himself.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please do subscribe if you want lots more clips and interviews like that. Plus, if you want to watch our totally uncensored after show, then visit www.outspoken.live.